2022 Lexus UX. Let's talk about some of the changes that they made here for this new model year. It's not much, but there's still a few things to discuss here. So, first of which, some new colors. You got Gracian Water and Sonic Chrome, which are new additions. And you can now mix and match certain interior choices with exterior colors, which you couldn't really do before. So you have some more customization there with those choices. But most importantly, regarding the exterior, you can now get colored fenders around the wheel wells. This is huge. This is going to make the vehicle look so much better. And this is only available on the premium, luxury, or F-Sport trim. So something to keep in mind there. But that's exactly what I would recommend you getting anyway, either one of the premium or the luxury trims. So do that and you can option colored wheel wells or the fenders. So massive change in the looks department. If you've ever seen an SUV with colored panels like that, fully colored panels, it really makes a difference in how it looks. Now this vehicle, I mean, is it honestly worth it? Well, you got to keep in mind here, this is going to be somebody's first luxury car, most likely, okay? This is not just for flexing purposes or anything like that. When you buy into a more prestige brand like Lexus, for instance, you're going to be getting an infinitely better dealership experience. So that's one of the main reasons why somebody would look into something like this. But otherwise, could you get a phenomenal vehicle with one of the more plebeian brands out there? Of course you can. Vehicles like Mazda, Honda, Toyota, Kia, Hyundai, all of these companies have made huge strides in making high quality vehicles for the price while giving you many options. But since you're kind of in the more prestige / luxury side of things, Mazda would be one of the vehicles that you would probably be most interested in because they have phenomenal interiors that really match a lot of these entry-level luxury cars. You just miss out on the badge mostly, and nowadays I think most Mazda dealers are pretty decent, so they'll take care of you. But something like the CX-30 or even the CX-5, since that's a larger vehicle, is really something to consider versus this UX. Okay, those are high quality vehicles. The only things are, if you opt for the turbo versions of the Mazda vehicles, the gas mileage is really going to suffer, but just about any turbocharged Mazda will annihilate this UX in terms of speed. That's really the only gripe I had with the 2019 UX I tested out. It just wasn't very fast, but the build quality and the solidity of the UX is very good. Unlike a lot of the other even European entry-level luxury vehicles, things like this Lexus UX, it's really sturdy, feels like a quality product, doesn't feel like you're in some total shit can vehicle. That's one of my most favorite things about the UX. And it even looks pretty good too. In my opinion, it's not a bad looking vehicle. It's got some character, and the hybrid is definitely what I would recommend you guys going with if you are interested in a UX. And that's one of the things, if Mazda came out with hybrid models, which they will soon, that'll really change the game. But as of right now, that's kind of my little tips for you guys. And the other thing is, you know, if you are looking in the Lexus brand, if at all possible, if you can make it work, try and lease something like an ES if you can. If you're trying to lease a UX, try to lease an ES if possible. But I think most people who are in the UX market are going to try and finance this thing. So anyway, going back to the UX here, okay, the other reason why I recommend going with the hybrid is because you get all-wheel drive as standard. Like, it's only a $2,000 difference between the standard UX and a base model hybrid UX. So you pay that $2,000, you're getting a more efficient vehicle that gets 39 mpg combined versus a standard UX, which only gets like 32 mpg combined. And I think the UX hybrid gets 41 in the city and 38 on the highway. Both vehicles are gonna have a CVT. The standard UX 200 is gonna have a regular kind of 10-speed CVT gearbox. I think 0 to 60 is rated to be about 8.6 seconds with the hybrid trim UX and about 8.9 seconds for the standard engine. Standard engine produces 169 horsepower and 151 pounds-feet of torque. The hybrid produces 181 horsepower and the torque is not disclosed, but I'm sure it's closer to like 200 pounds-feet. So that really helps its speed. And the UX hybrid weighs about 300 pounds more, which puts it around 3,600 pounds, which is not bad considering it's a hybrid with all-wheel drive. Again, far more capable vehicle, slightly quicker, more efficient, only costs like $2,000 more. It just makes sense. So now that we have that established, let's kind of go through some of these more changes here, right? It's not much, like I mentioned, just those color changes, and you got a little electric tilt telescoping steering wheel column that's available on the luxury trim, so you got that going on. But for the most part, it's just a carryover. One of the things I do like with the UX is you get a ton of safety features as standard. Obviously, most manufacturers are starting to give you many of the safety features on offer as standard. But let's go through it here. You got pre-collision safety, you got dynamic radar cruise control, lane departure assist and alert, lane tracing assist, road sign assistance, intelligent high beams. You got blind spot and rear cross traffic alert, all as standard. So that's great to see here, especially since this is going to be somebody's like first kind of luxury car. They might be a little bit younger, so this is kind of helpful, I suppose. You got a 7-inch screen as standard, but a 10.3-inch screen is on offer with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, of course. You got two options for sound systems. A 6-speaker is going to be the base system, but an 8-speaker system is going to be an optional upgrade, and it's going to use a bamboo charcoal speaker diaphragm to reduce mass and deliver natural sounding voices and an improved mid-range, so that's interesting. And Lexus almost always does a phenomenal job with their audio systems. I mean, the ML, the Mark Levinson, is one of the best audio systems out there that you can get in a modern day vehicle that doesn't cost, $400,000 or something insane like that. With the UX, I don't know if they're going to brand it as the ML. They haven't really mentioned that here, but I'm sure it's going to sound fine, especially for a vehicle of this type. It's going to be one of the better audio systems. I'm not really too concerned with that. You, of course, have an F Sport option available to you for both the standard UX and the hybrid, and I would just skip it, honestly. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference here versus a standard version. I would rather go with like a luxury trim level UX if you are going to try to put a lot of options here. And with options, no matter what you get, F Sport, luxury, whatever, you're going to be paying a little under $40,000, okay? And leases typically go for like $329 a month with $3,000 down. That's usually the nationwide Lexus lease deal that they have going on, but I'm sure you can negotiate something cheaper than that. If you're going to be paying in the 400 range, I would definitely consider looking into the ES Hybrid. The only thing that sucks about the ES Hybrid, it's obviously a sedan, but it's probably going to be more practical than this UX because this is not a very large vehicle. But the thing that sucks about the ES is you can't fold down the rear seats, so it's something to look into. The other thing is you got the IS 350 F Sport, in the $400 range. But again, I think most people are looking into things like this for the efficiency of it. Ride quality is decent, the stability is decent, again, because the hybrid weighs like 300 pounds more on average. That kind of helps with the solidity, so I like that. Every model of the UX is going to be coming with 18-inch wheels, and I believe the F Sport trims will get the kind of LFA/LC500, the gauge cluster that kind of moves around that mechanical ring, if you will, so I think you will be getting that. So, I mean, if you like the way the F Sport looks, go for it. It's not bad. But usually with certain vehicles with Lexus, it almost never makes a difference if you get the F Sport or not. Like the RX, I don't really recommend you getting the F Sport, but something like the IS, I do recommend getting the F Sport. So it just depends. Test drive them, but with the UX 250h, I would rather get like a luxury trim and enjoy some extra features, if you will. Make it more of a luxury car, right? A luxury experience with some features. But that about does it for the 2022 UX. There's not really a whole lot of changes here. Obviously, the other vehicle to consider is the newly redesigned NX. So I don't really think pricing or even leases have been released for that vehicle. But that's really something to consider. I think they've made a lot of nice improvements with that vehicle. I don't typically like entry-level luxury vehicles, but Lexus did it the best so far, even compared to the German rivals, okay? The UX just doesn't feel like some tin can toy. This actually feels like a nice, solid driving experience. It's just a little slow, and it's obviously on the small side, but I think when that new NX drops, it's really gonna kind of outshine this thing, but I know there's a lot of little fans for the UX, so I don't wanna put it down too much because a lot of the CT and the HS owners have kind of transitioned over into this UX, so I'm sure they're very prideful about this vehicle. So don't get me wrong, it's not a bad little vehicle, like I mentioned, but something else to consider are the larger vehicles. There really is a truly large difference between, you know, something like this and like the NX and obviously the RX. The RX is really my most favorite SUV in the Lexus lineup, but again, price it out with your local Lexus dealership, see what the maximum amount of incentives you can get are. You know, if you see a UX that's been sitting on the lot for a long time and you can snag a lot of discounts, dealer discounts, then go for it. I mean, it can definitely make sense. It's a good little urban cruiser. So watch my review on the 2019 UX that I did so you can see a close-up look and all my detailed thoughts about that vehicle. I'll leave it at that. Thanks again for watching this video. Take care and goodbye.